Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Through It podcast. My name is Julia and today we are talking about macros. The word macros gets thrown around a lot on social media, especially in the fitness and nutrition space. But I've realized a lot of people hear the term and actually have no idea what it really means. So today we are talking about what it is and how best to balance them. Macros are short for macronutrients. There are 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrates. All of them are important in their own ways, and I'm going to break each of the macronutrients down and give you examples of each. Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals in your food. I may do a separate episode on micronutrients because these are also really important. The reason macros matter is because every food you eat is made up of these 3 nutrients in different amounts. When you understand macros, you start to understand why some meals keep you full and energized while others leave you hungry an hour later. Let's first talk about carbs. I want to start with this one because carbs can have a really bad rap. There are a lot of misconceptions around carbs because of the media telling you to eat low carb. But you do not need to eat low carb. In fact, I don't think that's good for you. What's important, though, is eating the right carbs. There are certain carbs that are full of sugar and are high in calories, but not all carbs are like that. In fact, all carbs have the same number of calories per gram. So 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories. It just depends on what else is in those foods and the type of carb you are consuming. There are complex carbs, which are starches and fiber, and simple carbs, which are sugar forms. Carbohydrates break down into glucose, which the body uses to fuel your cells, tissues, and organs. That's pretty important. So what kind of carbs should we be including in our diet? It is recommended to focus on nutrient-dense, fiber-rich carbs like whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. Whole grains like quinoa, oats, and brown rice, legumes such as lentils, chickpeas, and beans, vegetables such as broccoli, leafy greens, sweet potatoes, and carrots, and fruits such as berries, apples, and citrus fruits. I have heard of people avoiding fruit because they are high in carbs. But fruit is not even remotely bad for you. They give you energy, and they provide essential nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants. There are certain carbs, the simple and refined carbs, that are less ideal. And this is why carbs as a whole get a bad rap, because it was assumed all carbs are bad because certain ones aren't as healthy. Foods like white bread, refined pasta, sugary snacks, and pop tend to be lower in fiber and can cause faster blood sugar spikes, so they're best eaten in moderation rather than as staples. Other sugary foods would be things like candy, cookies, and cakes, drinks like fruit juices, and processed snacks like pretzels, chips, and sugary cereals. The difference between the good and the bad carbs are fiber content and how they impact your blood sugar levels. Good carbs are high in fiber, which promotes digestive health and fullness. I could probably do a whole episode just on fiber, but I'll go into it in just a minute. Good carbs can also cause a slow and stable rise in blood sugar, while bad carbs cause rapid spikes. So before we move on, let's just quickly talk about why fiber is important. I think many people underestimate just how important it really is. Evidence shows that eating enough fiber is associated with a lower risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and bowel cancer. It also helps with your digestion and prevents constipation. It helps stabilize blood sugars and helps with weight management. Good sources of fiber are vegetables and fruits, whole grains, nuts and seeds, and dried beans, peas, and lentils. Next, let's talk about fat. Fats actually have the highest calorie count per gram, with 9 calories per gram. So it's important to eat fats in moderation. However, similar to carbs, that doesn't mean you should avoid them. There are many benefits to healthy fats. They are good for heart health because they lower the bad LDL cholesterol and improve blood pressure. They help with brain function and development. They enable the body to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. They provide long-lasting fuel to help you feel full, which reduces overeating, and they reduce inflammation. Similar to carbs, there are good and bad fats. The good fats are unsaturated fats, which include olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish. Trans fats are the ones we really want to avoid, while saturated fats, like those in meat, dairy, or coconut, are fine in moderation. Trans fats are found in processed snacks, fried foods, and baked goods. Most saturated fats come from animal sources like meat and dairy products, as well as coconut. It's best to mainly focus on unsaturated fats, eat saturated fats in moderation, and avoid trans fats. Next, let's talk about protein. Protein is so important. It helps build muscle mass, gives you more balanced blood sugar levels, fewer cravings, supports bone health, and helps lower blood pressure and cholesterol. Eating a high-protein diet is great for weight management or weight loss, as high-protein foods can help you feel full and lead to fewer cravings. When I don't have a lot of protein with a meal, I get hungrier much earlier. Protein is also 4 calories per gram. Good protein sources can be animal-based like lean meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy, as well as plant-based options like lentils, beans, tofu, nuts, seeds, and quinoa. People on social media lately have been talking a lot about protein, which is actually the one thing I will agree to jump on. Lots of times, fitness influencers can give you advice or hop on trends that I don't fully agree with, but eating high protein is so great for you. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, some protein powders, and meat are the easiest way to get extra protein into your meals. If you don't like the texture of cottage cheese, you can blend it and you don't even taste it. I used to buy lactose-free cottage cheese and still do sometimes, and it honestly doesn't even taste like anything, but it adds so much protein. Greek yogurt can also be swapped for sour cream. I use lactose-free Greek yogurt as my sour cream or mayo in recipes. I also eat some sort of meat, usually chicken or beef, with every lunch and dinner. Your body needs protein to repair and grow cells, and it's even more important as you age. So definitely prioritize protein as much as you can. So now that we know what the macronutrients are, what does it mean to balance them? Typically, most guidelines suggest eating 45 to 65% carbs, 10 to 35% protein, and 20 to 35% fat, but they can shift based on your goals. Personally, I aim for about 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Some sources say to do 1 gram per pound, but 0.7 is just as good, especially if you want to eat in a calorie deficit. Most of my meal plans look like between 45 to 50% carbs, 25 to 30% fat, and 25 to 30% protein. This puts me at about 1,800 calories, and my goal is weight loss. If you don't want to count your calories and macros, you can just look at your plate. It might look like half your plate being fruits or vegetables, a quarter of your plate being protein, and a quarter being carbs with a little bit of fat. Or it could look like a third of each with a little bit of fat. It depends on your goals and what those sources are. For example, if you ate a bowl with chicken, rice, avocado, and vegetables, the rice would mostly contribute carbohydrates, the chicken would provide protein, and the avocado would provide healthy fats. That's a simple example of a balanced macro meal. I want to give you some examples of meals that I eat. So I have 4 go-to breakfasts. The first one I've been eating a lot lately, and it's a piece of sourdough toast because I am gluten sensitive, and even if you're gluten sensitive, sourdough can still be good for you. So I do sourdough toast with 1 egg and a quarter cup of egg whites, and I do 3 chicken breakfast sausages with a side of fruit and some cooked spinach. And it is such a good balanced meal and helps me keep full for a long time. Another breakfast I haven't had in a while, but I used to eat all the time was 2 rice cakes. One was like a tomato rice cake, and I would put cottage cheese on it and an egg. And then the other rice cake, it would be like a chocolate chip one, and I would put sunflower butter and fruit on it. And that was such a good meal. Another one I do is overnight oats. So I just prepare this the night before. It's just oats, oat milk, protein powder, and I stir it up. And then I might add something like chia seeds or flax seeds, and I'll add some fruit on top as well. Protein French toast, that's what I had this morning. I do 2 slices of sourdough toast mixed in a mixture of 1 egg, a quarter cup of egg whites, and protein powder. And it's really, really good. And then I put some fruit on top. So those are 4 really good examples of a really balanced macro meal for your breakfast. For lunches and dinners, I have been alternating between 4 specific ones. The first one is a beef barbecue bowl. So it's just ground beef and then this Arctic Gardens vegetable mix. And they have it's like potatoes and vegetables. And I just air fry that. And then I use the G. Hughes barbecue sauce. And it's really low in calories, but it tastes so good. So it's so simple and easy to make. And it's really, really tasty. The next one is a teriyaki chicken bowl. I do chicken breasts. And I use the G. Hughes teriyaki sauce because, again, it's really low in calories. So I cook it in that. And then I have that with basmati rice or jasmine rice and carrots. The next one is a chipotle chicken bowl. I found this on TikTok. It's so good. I do a really big bowl of lettuce because lettuce is realistically almost no calories. So you can add as much as you want. And it makes the bowl look like so much bigger than it is. And then I do rice, ground chicken with taco seasoning. I do a little bit of corn. And then the sauce is just Greek yogurt, hot sauce, and taco seasoning. And it's so good. And then the last one is a beef and hummus bowl. So that one is sweet potatoes. I've been loving sweet potatoes lately. And they're really good if you're eating a anti-inflammatory diet. So sweet potatoes, ground beef, and carrots just in the air fryer. And then I put a tablespoon or 2 of hummus on it. And it's so good. The caramelized onion hummus is my absolute favorite. So again, those are 4 really balanced meals. They taste really good and they're very filling as well. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by nutrition advice online, just remember these basics. Don't fear carbs. Include healthy fats, prioritize protein and fiber, and try to build meals that include a balance of all 3 macronutrients. This is the healthiest and most balanced way to eat. Also, something important to understand is that just hitting your macros doesn't automatically make a diet healthy. You could technically hit your macros by eating protein bars and packaged foods all day. That's why food quality and micronutrients still matter too. I go more into food quality in my last episode. So that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at growthroughit.pod, or you can use the link in the show notes to anonymously ask questions or suggest future topic ideas. If you enjoy this podcast, I would be so grateful if you would rate, review, follow, or subscribe, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it. Thank you so much for listening, and remember that you are worthy. See you next time.